Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Odden. We can't do the acceleration due to gravity lab in person this year, but it's really cool. So Dr. Crow and I went over to the lab to take some pictures and video to show you how it works. So the gray and blue device you see on the table is called the spark timer, and it produces sparks at uniform time intervals. You can see that it's plugged into a regular outlet, and you can see these red and blue wires running from the spark timer and up the pole to two screws that are housed in a little wooden frame. And there's a little gap between those two screws right in the middle. And when the spark timer is activated, sparks jump across that gap at regular intervals. So this is a slow motion video of the sparking that's taken at 240 frames per second. And a regular video is taken at about 30 frames per second. And so this video is running at 1/8 the typical speed. The cool thing about the spark timer is that the interval between sparks is incredibly consistent, so it can be used as a timing device, hence the name spark timer. So the blue roll of tape you see on the table is called wax tape, and it has this special property that it's sensitive to pressure and heat. So the white side is the wax side, and you can see that as Dr. Crow drags his fingernail across it, the blue backing is revealed. And something similar happens when you put the tape in the spark timer. That video was at regular speed. So let me zoom in here and notice that there's a blob in the spot where the tape started because a lot of sparks hit that area. And then as Dr. Crow dragged the tape out, it left a trail of dots. So now that you have the setup, you can see what's going to happen in the lab. So here's a picture of Dr. Crow. And what he's doing is he is attaching a 100-gram mass to a long strip of that wax tape using a little bit of masking tape. So here you can see what he's done. And here's a picture of the long strip of tape, and you can see the mass attached to the end. So now what he's done is he's threaded the tape through that gap that you saw between the screws. And when the spark timer is activated, he just drops the tape, and the mass pulls the tape through the spark timer, and you can see the result. So zooming in, you can see a whole bunch of little dots, and now remember that the time intervals are consistent, but you can see that the distance between the dots is increasing. And of course, there's also a blob over there on the side where things started, and we won't get much good data from there. So your job in the lab is going to be to look at some high resolution images of this resulting tape. And by doing a couple of calculations and making some plots, you'll be able to determine the acceleration of the mass, which in turn is going to be very close to the acceleration due to gravity.